Hey guys, it's Guys and Trey back for a second episode on this new player experience video series, and let's talk about what's changed since I've put out the first episode on this account. I've been logging in every day and getting just some stuff, free stuff for logging in. I haven't done too much progression. I'm still doing my daily ad summons. At this point we have a new free summon that's going along once a week. I've got some tickets that we'll be using at the end of the episode, and the most important thing is that I've done a bit of the story. If you just follow along the story for a little bit, you go to Siren's Tower, unlock the Espers mechanic. That is very important. I went until I finished Fallen Pass, so I can show you guys all the panel quests for the first page. Defeating Siren, all of this is very easy to do. This content's been power creeped for 7 years, 8 years, probably longer. Once you get to this video, and the only thing that can be tricky for new players is the summon an Esper on a quest, because with these overpowered units you might find that you'll have trouble just getting enough Esper ores, or the Esper orbs, and there's a nice little thing you can do to speed that along. So let's say I'm gonna go here. You can go to the category filter and go down to evocation. This will filter friend units for evocation tag units, and most NVs of this tag will fully fill up your evocation gauge either turn 1 or very fast. So we can go in and check. No, this doesn't fill that, so here we go. At the start of the battle, he'll increase our evocation gauge by 7. So 7 out of 10, that means we're able to fill it turn 1. So I've equipped Siren up to my new Melissa, so we'll depart. Alright, see, we've started already at 7. So we don't have any special abilities here that increase our gauge on the base form. If we swap him over, we can take a look. No, he just eats the gauge in these forms. So what we can do, if this was a multi-unit fight, we could just send all of our units to attack together on one target, which would give us a bunch more time to get these green Esper orbs that drop out. See, we're almost there. And at the start of the next fight, Nicole fills another 7. That's nice. So we'll go up to Melissa and click our Esper ability. And this is all you need. It's not the most intuitive while you're very overpowered for a fight, because summoning Espers isn't particularly relevant anymore. But equipping Espers have a lot of very good benefits. This is something that's particularly worth exploring. So Espers they all give you stats based on their own. Espers have their own stats, and they give you a percentage. I think it's about 1/10 of their own stats that you get for yourself. And I'm gonna show you something else. Espers have their own innate resistances and status immunities. These will get applied to your unit to make it much easier to gear for resistances. Level 1 Espers don't have these, but they also have killers. Killers are a stat out of 300% on your units that give you that much extra damage against certain enemy races. So this guy has just an innate amount of killers to these types, and that's good. We want to fill those out every time we can for a tough fight, and Espers will help us do that. They'll give us stats. Sometimes we'll even use special skills that Espers can learn. It's not very often we do that, and it'll probably even less going forward. So let's head back into the panel quests, and we'll just take everything. Get all our rewards. Alright, we got some yellow sites, some violet sites for upgrading our units. This is the really big one, the NV select ticket. This guarantee you get to pick a Neovisions of your choice from the starter banner that we did last time. Some free gear. Oh, that's lovely. A new player's biggest struggle will always be gear. You'll often find you'll not have enough, so you'll have to be making a lot of concessions for your unit builds. Which leads into the next point that I'm going to make. We want to, as early as possible, we want to go into the Vortex, into the Nemesis category, and do the Chamber of the Fallen. We want to clear as much of this as we physically can. It's locked right now, but as you complete the early ones, you'll complete more. I've completed the first one to get the Enhancer Sword. And then once you've done a certain amount of these, you'll unlock the Chamber of the Indignant, which are more trials, harder trials. So we really want to get all this gear. It might not be best in slot ever, except for a few outliers like Irenaeus Ring, but having gear is important. You need to gear 5 to 6 helmet slots, 5 to 6 weapons, and like 5 to 6 of every one of these slots, and a good old 24 materia slots. That can be a lot. Let's go over to this here. Alright, cool. I've got some stuff on him. Alright, we can put on this. We just don't have any more accessories. You will be running out of slots to equip things, and that does suck. And yeah, we're out of materia. That's terrible. So we really want to go in and clear out, get a bunch of gear. And while your your energy is free, doing the story events, if they're up, any farming events, all very good, like as mentioned last time. But story events are a bit different. They tell a story from the world of Brave Exvius, and they give you lots of goodies for completing them. Like just this fight gives you some time-limited currency that's for a celebration, some STMR Moogle exchange tickets. These are... You won't have enough of these as a new player, but you'll be drowning in them by the time you don't need them. Red quartz. These are used to buy pots that will expand your unit stats. These are very good. Pearls. Just really useful stuff. Always do events. I'd also like to quickly show you the UI of Dark Visions and Clash of Wills. So Dark Visions is think of it as like a set of like 6 or 7 trial fights. As you complete them, more will pop up and harder versions will happen until there's a final boss. And there's your aim is to beat them with a certain amount of conditions. These conditions at the moment have been pretty static in that you want a certain amount of chain score, a certain amount of damage dealt to the boss, taking as little damage as possible and having no units die. There's a few other things that it can be, but those are the important ones to remember. Then we have Clash of Wills. This is our global exclusive endgame content, where Dark Visions is the Japanese endgame content. So how Clash of Wills works is that you'll pick your units, and if you bring in any units that have EX levels, I don't at the moment, you'll have the option to make the fight harder for more points that you'll use to score your ranking against other players for ranking rewards. Getting to rank 1 to 1000 is generally considered, you're pretty solidly in your end game. You're coasting by doing content, you've been playing for a long while, that's great. But the thing that new players want to try and do, it's not guaranteed that you'll be able to make it to level 99, but as you clear the fight, you'll unlock more levels. And each time you kill the boss, you get more levels unlocked to do the fight on. It's like, alright, let's say I've killed level 50, I'll unlock like 50, 60 something. We'll fight, we'll keep going. And you want to, as much as you want to clear level 90, the last 10 levels of rewards aren't particularly great. They're good to have, but they're not vital. As you can see, up to level 90, you'll get a bunch of lapis and xenostones. Xenostones really matter because they will allow you to buy very important gear. The Clash of Wills gear, the Celestite series of gear. So we've got helmet, garb, circlet, a hat, basically, 2 rings, a vest, and a heavy armor. Ideally, you pick up one of each of the first level. These will help you generate morale in Clash of Wills. These abilities will give you a one-time or even start of turn bonus to your morale, and that'll make clearing out Clash of Wills easier. Having more morale with your Clash of Wills units, your global exclusive units, and buffed JP units just gives you more damage. And these bosses are very tanky. But as you go, you'll get more and more, and once you hit your plus, you'll start getting into the realm of these fancy versions, like what's this dances, what's this profits nonsense. I would recommend looking at these based on what you need and only spend resources in general when you're sure that it is the right one for you. But once you've gotten your first copy of each of these pieces of gear, before you move on to the recipes, definitely make sure you do that. It's quite important. I would also recommend upgrading the rings first, because you're getting a double value for the upgrade cost. So like, yes, it costs more as an initial investment of 1,000, but this 250 xenostones upgrades 2 rings as opposed to this 250 that only increases 1 item. Also, accessories are probably the strongest slot to use this very powerful Clash of Wills gear in. Even though this is Clash of Wills gear, it's great everywhere. You can use Magister's rings to get your chain cap up. You can use Emperors for stats. When Clash of Wills is up, definitely do it. It's very important. And we'll move on to the rest of the Vortex. So we've got the Daily Fragments challenge, the Frag Dungeon. Very important to do. When you enter it, you'll take in a set of 5 Neovisions units with no repeating units. And you will go in, complete a little fight. It's not hard. And your reward will be shards for each unit you bring in. Oh dear, I didn't kill him. I should have chained. Oh well, he did a little attack, it didn't hurt. Much better. So when we kill the Fat Chocobo, he'll drop at least 1 shard for every character. If there's a method to reroll this fight, I'm not going to showcase it right now, but other YouTubers definitely have. Make sure to check that out. This is daily content you want to do. You need to make sure you do this content. Because shards are hard to get. The only traditional way to get them is to get additional copies of a unit, or to spend money or your lapis on shards, or other hard to get materials to buy more shards. It's difficult. This is a very slow burn, but it helps a lot. The next big thing is the Chamber of Supersight. If you can manage this every day, once your free energy is run out, definitely try to do it. Each one has 3 levels of fights. The top one will cost 100 energy, the bottom 2 are 35. If you can squeeze in the energy costs in your day, definitely clear all 4 of these fights. All 4 of the 100 energy cost fights. They are going to give you super sights to upgrade your espers, and or to help you buy more things in their upgrade board. That's quite important. Everything else here honestly doesn't really matter. We're pretty much drowning in the rest of the resources by doing Mog King events, time limit events where you farm a fight and then spend your currency from that fight on pulls that will give you a bunch of free stuff. Again, I can't stress how important doing your weekly free content is. Here we've got the special tab. So it includes stuff like the GP anniversary stories, like the Return, Dark Lineage, and upcoming Esper of Ruin. Some defunct content, like making sure your blue mages can actually get their magic, because you had to complete certain event fights back when they were doing blue mages frequently. And training the soul. This is another cute little set of fights where you can only take in the story characters, not just Rain, Laswell, and Fina. You can also bring Jake, Lid, Nicole, Sakura. That gear is not particularly relevant, but I do recommend doing it because every time you clear a mission, you will get bonus lapis even. Nemesis, here's where all the boss fights live. Advent of Purgatory is element inclined fights. These are quite hard, and I would definitely check out a YouTube video to see if maybe you have the right units to do it. Series boss battles, they're very easy. These are very old, except for Safer Sephiroth EXT. That's important because that's the very last panel quest you'll need to do, and it gives you quite good rewards, and we'll get to that in a later video. But again, just clearing out series boss fights for a bunch of lapis. Look at that, 1,000 per one of these. That's great. I'll be definitely clearing those off camera just to get a nice healthy stock. Chamber of the Vengeful. These are global exclusive boss fights. These have a mechanic where it wants you to clear each stage with different units many times. So when this Morgana fight loads up, I can show you that it'll want me to clear her beginner stage, like maybe 20, 30 different units. And that's not a big deal. So there's 6 different challenges here. We'll go to our extra challenges. And it wants us to use 18 different units. The top Morgana fight, Empress's Resolution. This is also quite important to do. It gives you free Xeno Stones and a free piece of some decent free gear and a Celestite Rod that increases your morale. It's not a offensively very useful piece of gear, but free morale in fights that have the morale gauge, it's always worthwhile. And we've got our 12 types takedown. This is a series of boss fights, one for each species, each race of boss. These are single race bosses, and as you go from the bottom to the top, they do get harder, but even at the moment, they're a bit power creeped, and you can, with the right setup for them, when you go on the wiki, look up the fight, figure out what you need, it shouldn't be too bad. Chamber of the Fallen is absolutely the important one. Chamber of Arms is also noteworthy because it's got gear. It's got more gear. This is actually located in the far plane. You can go there independently of this menu, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's a bit of a pain to get here the normal way. Yep, so the lore of this is that there are 12 very powerful beings who had passed, and their weapons, their armor, their important pieces, their important relics are here. So you can go, hey, I want these. I want the Mace of Zeus. And then I'll have a little a trial fight to get this mace, and then an upgraded version, and so on. Each of them upgrade at least twice. We've currently got a third upgrade for one of these. I think it might be this rod, where you fight the third upgrade version of the boss. Very, very hard. The first two, very, very easy. So just make sure you come in clear in the easy fights while you've got your free energy. And here we've got Chronicle Battles. These are farmable events, old farmable events, given to us back again, where they last forever, and we can go, okay, I'd like to farm Ifrit from Final Fantasy 15. This will give me Chronicle medals. These are an upgrade currency to upgrade the things that you get throughout these Chronicles. And unit symbols. These unit symbols are required to upgrade units' abilities. So for example, let's go to Laguna. We'll go to Enhance. We'll check out his abilities. So he needs some super sights, some foresights, you know, yada yada. But he also needs these brave insignias. These brave insignias are farmable in the Chronicles. When these farming all the Chronicles does take time, but honestly, it's important to do. There's a lot of permanent content to sink your teeth into and really get comfortable with the game. I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to showcase for this video, so we can go into some gameplay. So here we're up to the port city. This is near the end of the very first island of season 1. Season 1 is quite large, Season 2 even bigger. It's a bit intimidating, and the quests in Season 1 and 2 will ask you to do very specific things. If you're not sure what unit can do what ability it asks you to do, definitely look it up on the wiki and definitely cross-reference that with the units you own. I'm going to be skipping all the story for this series. If you want the story, please, it's free. Come get it. Here we have, in this city, we'll have an opportunity to do some side content to unlock Ifrit. Ifrit and Siren will be the two espers that you'll have for a really long time until you start doing more story. Some trials will ask you to bring in and summon certain espers. You can do that if you want, just you don't have to do it, obviously. The rewards that aren't Lapis or summon tickets or anything of similar, it's just not worth the headache. Especially when you have so much to do. So I've got more to do in the port city, and that's fine. We can do that later. Might do that off camera, might stream that even. So let's head back to the panel quests and start completing out more pages of this. This is this helps you. Even without this structuring that I'm giving you, this is very, very useful and basically acts like a very condensed version of this kind of series. It's like, okay, we'll try the standard summon, go fight in the arena, do this a little bit, try these out. That's very important. Do I want this ticket? So I can show you what I would use these on, because I think the choice can be important depending on what you have. To be fair, most of the units in there aren't very good, but some have uses I have explained in the first episode. Get you your magic tank if you don't have one. Otherwise, it's kind of whatever. Alright, so it's not a summon, so I'll go check permanent exchange. It's not permanent exchange. It must be in the regular exchange then. Yep, so we've got our ticket exchange, and we can grab one of these units. One of this big list. I would suggest Shoreline, Fina, and Daisy. Getting a magic tank if you don't have one, quite important. Savior of Souls Lightning can be useful if you have a very magic damage oriented team, but I don't have a magic tank at all, and I would quite like one. And these are some shards. Now I can go, hey, I want to get my Shoreline, Fina, and Daisy to EX1. So we'll get out, we'll grab these. As for the rest, I can't foresee a huge use for most of these units. So I'm gonna hold on to it until I need just a little bit of awakening for some use it eventually. Alright, let's sort without prioritization of party units and sort by rarity. There we go. I would like to check out Shoreline, Phasing, and Dina. Fina and Daisy, wow, that was harder than it needed to be. So that takes one pearl, one red pearl, your shards, your fragments, and some gil. Alright, as you can see, when we EX level up, we just get stats. We unlock Brave Shifting or Super Limit Bursts, depending on the unit. And we get vision cards. There's nothing particularly exciting about any of these. This STMR is quite useful because it has a guts effect. If you have over the health amount and it says, hey, you'll survive that hit. That's very useful to have access to. As you can see, I've got some duplicates of like Soul Neo Vision and Solitary Warrior Veritas of the Frost. So let's... Oh, they're both level 120. Let's chuck them in the wood chipper. And something else I would like to talk about on the topic of Veritas of the Frost and here. These are the newest units to the game. And the way that you can get up to 30 shards for new units for logging in during the period where they're new. That's very important. But I would also like to stress the importance of figuring out what you spend your early lapis on. It's a bit difficult without game context. Definitely ask some people. Go like, hey, what's the good thing to pull here? In the past, the conventional wisdom is to pull on units that are global exclusive. And how do you tell who's global exclusive? It's not easy anymore, especially if you're a brand new player. It's almost certainly going to be an original character to Brave Exvius. One way to tell is if they're Limit Break movies, their CG LBs are in English. That's just one way. And if your unit has Clash of Wills tag, it means it's more likely to be global exclusive. These days they are making premium Japanese units. They're giving those the Clash of Wills tags. That's helpful, and it makes them more versatile in the content you can use. So definitely look out for it. The Hero banner and the Veritas of the Frost banner, the combined one. I have done a bit of research for this account and decided that Hero is a pretty good pick. What makes you say that? I really like the fact that Hero has a very accessible mechanic. He has access to tag teams, tag chaining, which means he will chain his abilities by himself. He doesn't need a unit to increase the chain. Obviously, you want to always do that when you can, but as a new player, it's a bit hard. So just having this guy walk into a fight and go, hey, I'm just gonna hit this enemy with my tag chain move, bippity bop, no worries. Look at this, all enemies. I can just kill a group of enemies, tag chaining, getting some bonus damage. In terms of endgame content as well, Hero right now is quite strong. DPS units do phase out pretty quickly. In general, it's not guaranteed that this unit has a shelf life of 3 months or something. Most DPS units last a bit less than that, and some DPS units last much longer. It's just about doing your research and getting a bit lucky with what Gumi decides to release for global exclusive content. So great, I've decided that I want Hero. How do I go about getting Hero? Well, we want to make sure that we plan out our ability to pity him. And what pitying a unit means is spending all the lapis required to guaranteed get a copy from this exchange. So I need 17 of these tickets to guaranteed get a copy of Hero and Panther Optimus. Cool. You'll get these from the summon banners, obviously. and we'll go, hey, there's a vision card a part of this banner. We can see that it's got the same named ticket that Hero has. So pulling on this banner will help us get closer to Hero and give us a vision card. Sometimes they release vision cards that aren't very good, so it's always worth going into the exchange shop, just double checking if the card is very good. So we'll go to that's the vision card. Let's get the details. Biting Frost vs Burning Flame. 140 as of recording is not a exciting base stat for a card. It's not the best in slot, just on this number alone, but it's not awful. Pretty standard to have 80 attack on good cards. 100 LB, quite good. 500 flat fixed for every unit, that's actually quite good. It's normally unit series locked to get this amount of flat damage. Now we get some free resistances, some killers, and if we equip it to Veritas of the Frost or Hero, they'll get an additional 1000 flat attack. This is these two units best in slot card. That's fine. And that's really good. Being able to pull a unit and get its card, its best card, is quite useful for new players. It just means that the very first few units you pull, you won't have to worry about using really bad vision cards. Like all of these, go like, oh boy, I'm sorting by attack right now. It's like, alright, this is my highest attack. It's only 50 and it has, if I use a spear, do this. If this is equipped to a female, it gets a little bit of attack that's not very good and some very bad killers. The distinction between those two vision cards is very, very big. It's quite big. Even if you don't put this banner vision card on Hero, hey, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good card for a long time for a new player. But I said I wouldn't talk about specific things, and I'll keep trying to not, but it's important to be able to look at a banner and analyze how useful it is. So I'm also going to leave in the description and comments, a link to a damage spreadsheet that's one that's maintained by the wiki themselves, the Brave Exvius wiki. That sheet has useful parameters set by it for new players, and the Sinzar one. The Sinzar spreadsheet is more geared towards endgame content, where you can put literally the best slot equipment on every unit possible. It's not very realistic for many players, but it gives you a really good idea on what each unit's maximum potential is. So we've decided on Hero because he's really good on both of these lists, right? So if I spend this 7, 12, 24, 28,000 lapis, I can get this card and make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pulls toward that 17. Really useful. If we get Hero early during the card, we'll probably step out, because getting him early means we don't have to spend a lot of lapis to get these. Another important part of banner structure in this game are these purple coins. You'll get those on all the step-ups, and they're assigned to each one. So Hero and Veritas of the Frost will have this. I'll go, okay, premium units won't have their own shards in this shop, but non-premium units will. Hero and Veritas the Frost is a bit of an outlier as well, because they have other units' shards in here, because these 4 units are rated up on this banner. And let's say I do the full vision card step up, get 5 coins and go, alright, I didn't get any other NVs, I just got here. Alright. What are my purple coin options? Well, we can get unit fragments. You generally always want to pick unit fragments, especially for units that you know you'll use. Don't pick any piece of equipment from here. I know I said gear is important, but you can't spend lapis to do it. Lapis is as the real world currency trade-off. You can't spend real money for a TMR or STMR of a 5-star base unit. It's just not worth it. You're throwing your money into a pit. STMR Moogles, I don't say are worth it either. These are very expensive pearls. Very much the same thing. Not useful, very expensive. All of these don't matter. Let's say we've got like 7 coins. We've taken our 5 unit fragments that we wanted. Alright, cool, we've got 2 left. It's kind of whatever you want. It's not a huge amount of value. If you have the option, definitely pick up some free some free shards. Those will help you a lot. To cap everything off, before I get to my summons, let's just talk about the Chamber of Seals real quick. This is endgame. This is content that was limited time, once upon a time, has since left, and to make sure players don't miss out on some time-limited content, it gets put here. Each category has their own color of key, and units, none of these units are powerful by any meta standard, but they will be useful in category limited content. Like Kelger here, probably the strongest Final Fantasy V unit outside of Bart's at time of recording. So like, okay, I need to go do a Final Fantasy V fight. Great, we'll go in here, we'll do all 10 levels of fight to unlock Calgo, unlock a bunch of stuff for him, and then you can spend more. Then you'll have to spend more keys to farm more shards to get him to EX3. But each one of these units is a free level 130 unit, EX3. It could be worse, but it's fine. Definitely make some time to do this when you get keys, especially because I don't think this has an energy cost, or if it does, it's very low. Equipment, time limited equipment from events that are best in slot for the character they're for. So we'll go, okay, well, I want Genesis's cloak. Okay, well, I have Genesis, I want his cloak. It's very good for him. Then we'll spend our green keys, do these fights. These can range from incredibly easy to kind of hard. So definitely look at some old YouTube videos for these fights and see if you have what it takes to beat these. Because if you waste keys, too many keys, you'll run out. You get given way more keys than you actually need. But if you flail around too much, you'll run out. And especially as a new player, you can't earn these outside of just logging in when the game says you get them. Enhancement. These are crown fights. When people talk about crown buffs, crown fights, this is what they refer to. These are fights where... Alright, actually, I do have a unit with crowns in my party, so we'll go like, okay, Laguna has crowns. As an FF exclusive fight, if I do these fights and win, I'll get silver crowns to upgrade Laguna's abilities specifically. And not just any abilities, units will come out with crown abilities. So the Chuchi treatment at the moment at base level imperils fire, water, light, and dark by 120. Breaks attack and magic by 85, and spirit and defense by 88. We can press it, go to the highest one, and see that, okay, the breaks go up to 89 for spirit and defense. That's quite good. 145 fire, light, and dark. That's much better than it was before. 160, much better. It's very infrequent that a crown makes a unit good again. But again, these are more sources of lapis. So when you can get to them eventually, it's worth doing. So there's a ton of these. Some of these are really good. Like, some of these are quite really good. Like Fina the Returns crowns and Dark Fina Warrior's Prayer. Those are both very good crowns for a support unit. And I think that's about everything. Let's wrap up with some pulls. Can I wind down a bit? I don't want to spend tickets on the hero banner because I know I'm going to be spending lapis on it. You just generally don't want to mix the 2-1 banners. Like, if you're going to get a unit for free, why spend the hard currency to do it? And if you're going to spend the money material, you might as well just save. Ooh, a Neo Vision's excellent. Hopefully this is going to be quite useful. No. Terrible. She has a niche STMR, I think, but it's not very important. No, am I thinking of a TMR? Yeah, this is a niche hat. That can be useful. Yeah, so if you spend your money resource, you might as well save the free pulls for a unit that you weren't going to spend on, or spend your very limited currency on. Yeah, all the 3 and 4 stars, and 5 stars, just kind of ignore them. You'll be fine. And the last piece of advice for, just in general for the video, only pull on a banner when you realize that you can pity the unit. So I'll go, okay, I want this card no matter what, because this card's actually pretty reasonable for a new player. I'm only going to start pulling when I know I will have 28,000 lapis to make this pull. I know I have less than half of that right now, but that's fine. For new players, you have so many sources of permanent lapis that you'll be fine. You can quite easily farm up the currency to make several big pulls. But try to make sure that you don't overspend your lapis, and try to not spend lapis on things that you won't be going to pity for. Those are really the big things. Alright, thank you everybody. As a bit of a sign off, I am considering streaming a lot of the grunt work of this account, like just streaming, chatting, doing a lot of the story, and doing a lot of the unnoteworthy fights in here. So if you guys want to catch me doing that, be sure to subscribe, ring the bell. That'll tell you when I go live. That'd be much appreciated. So thank you everybody. Have a good evening, and I hope you learned something very helpful today.